Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Afdalu salatu wa tamu taslim. Ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Wa radiyallahu ta'ala an sadat al-tabi'een wa ulama al-amalin wa a'immat al-arabat al-mujtahideen wa muqalidihim ila yawm al-deen. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Farouk and everyone else. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Can y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all can hear me, inshallah. Please someone let me know, say yes, or I can hear you, or something. Let me know if y'all can hear me. One of the most frustrating things is to, at least for me anyway, is to be talking and then realize that nobody heard you, so you have to repeat everything that you just said. Alhamdulillah. Shukran, Farouk. Alhamdulillah. MashaAllah, Khalil. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. My brother Zakaria, alhamdulillah. May Allah reward y'all. Man, I want to talk about, and I hope y'all participate in this conversation. I don't want to be long, but you know how us imams can go, you know. As you can see, I'm in my car. I'm actually right next to the masjid, inshallah. Something just happened, and it's common now, but I'm a little bit more old school, so every time it happens, it kind of like messes me up a little bit, even though it's common now. I was in the masjid. I was making wudu. Someone came in. I thought the person wasn't Muslim, you know, because he didn't give me the greetings or what have you. And he had an accent, and so he was asking me about marriage. And wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Everyone who just came in, alhamdulillah. So this brother came in the masjid. He told me that he was a new shahada. He told me that he has a sister that he's trying to get married, since she's been Muslim her whole life. And so he wanted to know the procedures, etc., 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 how to get married. And this just reminded me, because our masjid has a marriage policy, but it's not, we didn't write it down yet. And so it just reminded me, I gotta write it down and circulate it so everyone knows kind of what to expect before they even come or approach. Now, depending on who you are and what your opinions around marriage is, sometimes a lot of people have an aversion. They don't like masjid marriage policies. In their minds, they look at it like the masjid is trying to prevent them from getting married. They look at all of the requirements that it takes for a person to get married in a masjid as barriers, as if the masjid is trying to prevent them from getting married. Some masjids charge a fee. We charge a fee. The fee is nominal. If you can't pay our fee, then I don't know how you even going to intend on supporting a wife, right? But our fee is nominal. Some masjids, their fees are considerably more. We require counseling sessions, that there be counseling. And this counseling is for several reasons, that both the husband and wife, or the soon-to-be husband or wife, knows the rights and responsibilities of the husband and the wife. The husband knows his responsibilities. The wife knows the husband's responsibilities. She knows his rights, and vice versa. We want to make sure everything is on the table. One example, like a lot of brothers, for example, just a random example off the top of my head, sometimes a lot of brothers tell the woman that they're about to get married to that that they're not interested in polygamy or polygyny, marrying more than one wife. If you sit down in front of me, I'm going to say in no uncertain terms that whether he said that or not, if he so chooses or changes his mind later on, there's nothing un-Islamic about that. And in other words, I just picked that random example out of the top of my head because I've done it before. And I remember looking at the faces of the couple when I did it. The brother was like, and the sister was like, right? It was one of those moments. I was like, I don't know what y'all said, but, I'm Muslim. I'm not, it's not a boys' club. I'm not, a neo-feminist. I'm just putting all the cards on the table. He may not ever marry or want to marry another sister. But Islamically, there's really nothing you can do to prevent him, right? And so that's just one example, right? So I like to put all the cards on the table. The man, he has to take care of you. He has to take care of everything by default, Islamically. That's your right. But if you two agree on something else, that's your problem. We're not going to condemn or encourage anything. If you want to pay, if you want to go, y'all want to go 50-50, more power to you. That's not for us to say. But, but as a woman, you have the right for your husband to take care of your food, clothing, and shelter, etc., etc., etc. But if y'all agree on something else, that's up to y'all. And a caveat to that, if you, in our community, if you agree on something other than the default, let's say, for example, y'all have an agreement, when we get married, we're going to go 50-50 on the bills. We're going to say, okay, alhamdulillah. Now, even though, especially in our school, a Maliki school, the marriage itself is a contract. Being that y'all agreed to this in front of witnesses is a contract. But we know in reality how things really go. So, being that you're doing something other than the default, the man taking care of everything, you, sister, you agreeing to paying all the bills, okay, put that in paper, put that on writing. That's one of the, we putting this contract on writing, and we want to stipulate all that. Because a lot of times, just one random example off the top of my head, that's common. Brother and sister hook up. They decide they want to get married. They talk about the finances. Okay, I'm paying 50-50. Or the brother's he really don't have nothing. I'll pay everything until you get on your feet. On your feet is a very vague term. There's no time limit. There's no nothing, right? So, both the people could have two different ideas of what on your feet means. And so they get into the marriage. And something happens that angers the sister. Maybe the brother's talking to another sister to get married to. And he's making the same agreement. You going to pay all the bills, sister, right? Okay, I'm cool with that. And I'm cool with you having another wife, right? So the first sister's like, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, stop. You talking to this other sister, you can't even afford me. And then he said, well, that's my right. And she made the same agreement you made, right? She going to take care of everything, right? Islamically, that's legal, right? But then a lot of times the sisters in this situation be like, nah, if you're going to be marrying another sister, you're going to have to start pulling your weight around here. You're going to have to start paying the bills. You're going to have to start paying the rent. And then usually that's when it comes back to the imam. When me and my wife having problems, what have you, he ain't paying none of the bills. Well, you knew that when we first got into it. And then, this type of stuff is normal. So that's why I like to have all of these things spelled out in the beginning. Farouk, you said, what do I say about others that follow the Maliki fiqh that allows this provision? What provision? I didn't read it when you first posted that. So, I'm saying, so like for our community, this is, some of the things that we have in place. And like I said, it's not in writing. I have to put it in writing. So people, I don't know, limited polygamy. Okay, let me go back to your question again now. What do you say about others that follow the Maliki fiqh that allow this position? They're not actually limiting polygyny or polygamy, right? Maybe I think sometimes people understand the nuance of what's being said. In Maliki fiqh, the woman could stipulate in her contract that if the husband marries another woman, that is grounds for her to get a khula or to be released from the marriage. A lot of people morph that into, well, they're limiting polygamy. No, it's not a limiting polygamy. It's not, or polygyny. A man married to more than one woman. And for some people that just not really reflecting on what's being said, it's like one and the same thing, but it's not. The man can marry more than one woman, irregardless. But that's like an escape hatch for the woman. She feels like, I can't take it, or whatever, or whatever her personal reasons are. If she puts that in the contract, she can exit the marriage because of polygyny. Not that he can't marry another one. It's a subtle difference. So I said this brother came in and I gave him, even just now in this live, I've given you more details than I've given him, right? This person pops up out of nowhere. We don't know him or what have you. And so sometimes people may feel that you putting barriers or obstacles. You're supposed to be encouraging marriages. Why do y'all masters, why do you discourage marriages? Why you put all these barriers up? And these really are not barriers. These are modern day expressions of implementing the sunnah. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a well-known hadith narrated by Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and has been recorded by at-Tirmidhi and many other collectors of hadith, where he reported that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Man khataba alaykum man tardawna dinuhu wa kulukuhu fazawwijuhu fa in lam taf'alu fitnatun fil ard wa fasadun arid." Or in some hadith, fasadun kabir. Right? If someone comes to you and proposes, and you are pleased with their deen and his deen and his character, then marry them. And if you do not, there will be fitna in the earth and corruption widespread. And when you examine this hadith on especially if you read in English and based on the way it's translated, you may think that in this hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is talking to women about who they should marry. But in this hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not even talking directly to the women. He's talking to the men who are responsible for the women. If you paid attention to all of the pronouns used in that hadith, he's talking to men. He's talking to the fathers. He's talking to the uncles, the sons, the imams, the walis, the wakils. He's talking to all of them, right? He says, someone comes to you, and you, man khataba alaykum, right? Man, what about putting in your contract a number of years he can't practice polygamy? Can he still do it before the number stated? For example, he can't do it for at least 10 years. He can do it. If someone puts that in their contract, the contract itself is not valid, because the contract puts a prohibition, even though it's temporary, on ta'adud al-zawjat, on polygyny. So it may, and I think some sisters have put this in their contract, but that clause in the contract is not valid. So if a man married another woman during that time period, he wouldn't be violating any Islamic laws, nor will he be violating that clause in his contract, because the clause itself is not valid. Like we said, that clause that that Malikis are famous for is not a prohibition on the man. It's a justification for the woman to leave the marriage. Not a prohibition on the man, but a Islamic justification for leaving the marriage. So again, it's a subtle difference. So Malik said, I agreed to something dumb like that before. It didn't last. Now, one thing I noticed, and it's not only with regards to marriage, it's just like a lot of other things. Sometimes we say things, we meaning men and women, anybody, we say things that we sincerely meant it. We sincerely meant it when we said it. But then time goes on, and we don't feel that way no more, or we don't feel as strongly about that thing anymore that we did when we said it. Like a lot of times, brothers, when they get hooked on a sister, and brothers say, a lot of times brothers say anything. Man, I'm not thinking about no other woman, babe. I'm thinking about you. You talking about polygyny? I didn't even think about that, man. I'm thinking about this monogamy with you, right? You know how brothers say, right? Man, listen, I'm not thinking about nobody else, and he's dead serious when he says it, right? This brother's on his Facebook page deleting all the other women, whatever. Then after he gets married, he feels that way for 3 hours, and then he's friending the sisters again. I'm just joking, right? He's friending, refriend requesting those sisters he deleted. I'm just being funny. Not 3 hours, maybe 3 days, 3 months. Anyway, so a lot of times, brothers, people in general, but in this case, brothers, say things. They meant it when they said it. They were sincere. They meant it when they said it. But then their feelings change, or is not as strong as it was when they said it. If my wife had multiple personalities, shouldn't that constitute polygyny? I know one just trying to make use by alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so Imam Abdullah, she said the Bill of Rights, we have to change our minds in this case. Alhamdulillah. So alhamdulillah. And a lot of times, a lot of things in fiqh is nuanced like this, because in this society, we don't recognize nuance. We don't recognize subtleties. So everything is just black and white. And most things ain't black and white. And if people don't explain them to you properly, then a lot of people think, oh, well, in the Maliki school, the woman can insist or prohibit polygyny. That's not the case. Any Maliki scholar will tell you that. And I'm definitely not a Maliki scholar, but any real Maliki scholar will tell you that. It's not a prohibition from the man. It's not something prohibiting the man from marrying another wife. It's a reason, because also you have to understand that we have reports from the Prophet ﷺ that says that the divorce-seeking women are hypocrites. The divorce-seeking women are hypocrites. And I'm just paraphrasing the hadith. It describes more than the divorce-seeking women. But the meaning of the hadith, the women that just seek divorce for no reason, just I want a divorce just for no reason. There are hadith that the Prophet ﷺ is reported to have said that these women are hypocrites. So divorce is not a light matter in Islam, even though it's permissible. is not a light matter. Marriage is something that you should go into with both eyes open, and you should exit it both eyes open. And most of us, a lot of us, we don't do that. We get married based upon emotion, and we get divorced based upon emotion. A lot of times we see a sister, she looks pretty, and then we have some private conversations with her that we really shouldn't be having in the first place. And so now our heart's in it, and we're not thinking right. And our brother Farouk, he mentioned Imam Shafi. And we all know what Imam Shafi said. And if you don't know, I'm going to paraphrase it for you. And I'm going to paraphrase it, using nice words. That, when the upper head, how do you say it? When the lower head starts thinking, the upper head stops thinking. So a lot of times, we read all of these books. We listen to all of this advice about who to choose for marriage and looking into the family and all of these things and examining her character. But most of us, when we see that face, and some sisters know exactly what to tell a man. They know exactly what to say to massage his ego. And, y'all know how y'all do. I'm not even going to imitate it. Y'all know how y'all do, right? And the brother like, oh, man, she's the one. I'm marrying her. And so your faculties of reasoning is gone. You're not really looking at her situation, her background, her family, her mental state, her mental condition. You don't even know if she has a mental condition, right? You don't even know these things. And then you find out all of these things after the marriage. And so, I remember a particular popular imam who I won't name, said that in Philly at a lecture. He said the Maliki school, if a woman stipulates a man can't get another wife, he can't do it. It caused an uproar. Yeah, because he was wrong. Y'all giving sisters way too much credit. See, you probably one of them. That's why you saying it. Right? Sisters, y'all know what y'all sisters, y'all be saying, yeah, your brother. I'm not even going to imitate it. But anyway, the point that I mentioned, I'm telling you this story. The brother came, and so the hadith, usually the hadith that I mentioned, if someone comes to you, you pleased with his deen and his character, marry them, or better yet, marry them off, or marry them to your women. If you don't do that, there will be fitna in the earth and corruption widespread. So usually people focus on the end of the hadith. Marry them. So brother imam smashed it, such and such. Why y'all putting up roadblocks for marrying sisters? When the Prophet ﷺ said, if you don't marry them, then there'll be corruption in the earth and fitna widespread and all that. Why y'all stopping people from marrying? You going against the hadith. No, back up one line. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you're pleased with his deen and his character, if I don't know you, we don't know you, we can't check you out. How do we know what your deen and character is? A lot of times we gloss over stuff. The Prophet ﷺ said marry. Yeah, whoa, pump the brakes. Back up. What did he say in the line before that, in the hadith? Men taradawna deenuhu wa khuluquhu. You are pleased with his deen and his character. If we don't know you, you just popped up out of nowhere. You're not part of any community. We can't pick up the phone or send an email or talk to another imam or another family member. How do we know your deen and character at all, much less be pleased with your deen and your character? So this is part of the problem dealing with or trying to deal with marriage in a so-called unmosqued type of environment. Everybody's doing them on themselves. So I don't know you. You just rolled up to the masjid, or you sent an email, or you sent an inbox on Facebook. Imam, me and his sister's trying to get married. Can you marry us? And when I'm telling you all these conditions, and I'm talking about counseling, and I'm talking about getting phone numbers and talking to her, and talking to people that know you and know her and all that, people looking at us like we trying to invade your privacy. But see, marriage is not a private thing. Marriage is a public thing. Marriage is not a private thing. Marriage is a public thing. That's why even according to many people in many schools, in different schools, that the fact that you having a walima, for example, for argument's sake, you having a public walima is in some cases it stands in place of witnesses of the nikah, because the whole intent behind the marriage is that it's public. Everyone knows who's married to who. It's not a secret thing, right? And so you come to the masjid or come to the imam trying to get married, but you trying to keep certain things secret. It goes against the whole intent and purpose of marriage. So we don't know your deen, we don't know your character. And for me, something personal always comes up to my mind. Years ago, I moved to a city, and we had study circles going on, and there was a brother and a sister who were talking about getting married. And in this little study circle, the sister had a blood brother who they both of them were relatively new Muslim. The brother, I think he was Muslim for a while. So I moved into town, and I'm giving you an example of one of the mistakes that I made. Everybody in the study circle came to me and said, Imam, this brother and sister, they trying to get married. The masjid won't marry them. They being racist. The masjid won't marry them. And so I'm like, okay. The brother of the sister was there. Talked to him. He said he was cool with it. Some time went by, and made sure all of the technical things were in place with regards to the marriage. And I married them. I'm new here. I don't know these people like that. That sister that got married, she had another blood brother who was out of town when all of this stuff was going on. He came back into town finding out that his sister got married. He wanted to know who's the mother effing imam who married his sister without him knowing and all that kind of stuff. So we meet, we cool. Then he expresses to me why he had a problem with me marrying his sister. He said they purposely waited for me to leave town for them to approach you with this, because they know I would have had a problem with it. This person is not a good Muslim. He's this, that. Plus his methodology was all wrong. Right? He was a Wahhabi. I'll just put it out there. He was Wahhabi. And then some time elapsed, and I'm hearing horror stories. That husband cut his wife off from her family. You know, breaking family ties is a major sin. So that husband cut his wife off from her family. She couldn't talk to her family. Couldn't visit her own mother. Yeah. Couldn't visit her mother. Couldn't even talk to her blood Muslim brothers who were practicing Islam. He said, no, you can't talk to your sister. And he started beating the sister. Domestic abuse. He started beating his sister. This is one of my horror stories. And so when I think about people that just pop up out of the blue and want to get married and trying to hide information, my mind automatically goes back to that situation. Will Allah call me to account for not doing due diligence when I married that couple? Will I get punished for every time that sister was punched in the face? See, these are some of the things that a lot of y'all don't appreciate imams have to deal with. I can see why certain masajid have guidelines. People are getting married for the wrong reasons. From my personal observation, it be all about enough sometimes. We call them shotgun marriages. Yep. They want the imam to rush them to do a nikah so they can fulfill their base desire. Exactly. And then, and our, comparatively speaking, our guidelines is nowhere as stringent as a lot of other communities, but people still think is that we rough. People will come to us, and if I enforce these, guidelines, they'll go someplace else and get married. And then when that marriage is on the rocks, the thing that amazes me all the time, they don't never go back to the one that they avoided me for. Like Imam Na'eem, he tripping. Let me go over here and get married. They'll go there to get married. And then when they need counseling or there's some domestic abuse coming, they want to bring it to me. I can't stand that. Why don't you go to the one that married you? This is the type of stuff we have to deal with. But when you have people who are not connected to any community and nobody knows them, they're just floaters, and they look at the masjid kind of like a Walmart or a shopping center. Like, you don't eat dinner at Walmart. Like, you just go to Walmart and get what you need, then you leave. And if they don't have what you want at Walmart, you go to Target. Or whatever the store is around your neighborhood. That's the way a lot of people look at marriage. Okay, I'm going to go to this masjid and this imam try to get married. Oh, their price is too high. He want this much money. He want this amount of money. He want this amount of counseling session. He want to talk to the sister. He want to talk to the family. He want to talk to whoever knows me. He wants references and all kind of stuff. That price is too high. Let me go to this masjid over here. And this is what people literally do. And I've been saying this for years, but that don't stop it from happening. And so usually it's at a point like, do you bend your rules a little bit? Is it case by case basis? Do you just say, no, these are the guidelines and we're going to adhere to them? These are the guidelines we're going to adhere to them? Then add on top of it, it ain't like back in the day. Back in the day, we had a little bit like of shame, a little bit of decorum. Nowadays, like people just like extremely, either they know and don't have no shame, or they just completely don't know. There'll be a prospective bride and groom that come down, sit in front of me, they're holding hands. They're already intimate. And you look like, y'all really gonna hold hands in front of me like that? Like for real, you ain't even gonna put no shade on it? SubhanAllah. Like y'all know that this is not appropriate, right? Till after you get married, right? Yeah, right, man. This is why we coming to you to make it right. I'm like, man, SubhanAllah. And so then the imam is thinking like, man, if I delay this anymore, like, will Allah put the blame on me when they go home and smash? Y'all know what smash means. Have intercourse. They was holding hands, intimate, rubbing each other. You told them about it. It didn't stop it. They didn't even pause it. Didn't slow them down in the least bit. As soon as they get back alone, they ain't going to do what men and women do. Is that, am I going to get blamed for that? For not marrying them right on the spot? Y'all put us in a lot of tough positions. And no matter what we choose, we wrong. If we say, okay, we take the position, and a lot of imams take this position, listen, man, I don't, I want to stop them from committing fornication and adultery, right? And this is so common that, okay, well, they came up for me. They was already having sex. So what I'm supposed to do? I made it halal, right? Then that same couple, for example, the man may not be taking care of responsibility, or the husband, she may be practicing polyandry. She's still married to the ex-husband, or still intimate with the baby father, and then what do y'all always say? Who was the imam that married them? Who was the imam that married them? Oh, that Imam Na'eem, he foul. He's supposed to do due diligence. He's supposed to check them out and all that kind of stuff. You can't win for losing. If you don't marry them, you encourage your fornication and adultery, because you already know they sleeping together. When you do marry them, oh, you didn't check the situation out. Oh, he's a domestic abuser. You can't win. And this also highlights the division in the Muslim community. Because I know imams who married people. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. We're in Pittsburgh. I don't know what you people are far away from here think, but I'm not, the most favorite person out here. A lot of people don't like me, right? Some of them are explicit with it. Some of them are just quiet with it, right? So, everybody know they go to Masjid Mukmin. Then all of a sudden they pop up over there for a marriage. I don't never get the phone call. Hey, Assalamu alaikum, Imam Naeem. We all got each other's phone number. Such and such that normally go to your masjid is over here trying to get married. You know about this, or what's going on? That don't never happen. And I'm not saying it happened dozens of times, but it happened at least 2 times that I can think of right off the top of my head. They never call and say, hey, they over here trying to get married. Is there any reason why you didn't marry them? Or did they even approach you? Like, what's the story? And that shows you, that's an indication of division between the imams. And if it's not division, it's short-sightedness. It should be common sense. And then you have, in some places, people, they understand enough Islam to know that you don't, quote unquote, technically need a masjid to get married. So they do all of these things, around any masjid. But the fallback always comes on the Muslim community. A lot of people are so short-sighted, or they just don't care. For example, if a brother attends a masjid, he's not an active figure, nothing. He just attends the masjid, meaning just goes there for Jummah, if that. And that brother does some shady stuff. He sleeps with a sister, commits zina, or he beats the sister, or whatever, just whatever foul. That sister and everybody who rides with her is not going to say that individual Muslim brother did all of these things. They're going to say that brother that goes to masjid such and such does that thing. Henceforth, that masjid supports what that brother was doing. This is the way it always comes back to us. Even though the masjid may not even know what's going on, the brother is just renegade doing his own thing. I'm letting you all know what happens from an imam's perspective. The imam might not even know all these things that's going on, but we get the blame for it anyway. And if it's not the specific imam, the masjid or the Muslim community gets the blame for all of this stuff that's going on. See, everybody always looking for leaders. like especially now in this environment, everybody's sitting on their couch with their phone in their hand talking about where the real leaders at, right? Leaders are just that, leaders. A lot of times we don't know the difference between, public figures and leaders. You could be a public figure and not a leader. Being a leader implies that you have followers. If there's no one following you, you're not a leader. You're just a public figure, a spokesperson, or something. You're not a leader. So there's public figures and leaders. Everyone's sitting on their couch with their phone in their hand, or worse, sitting on the toilet, talking about astaghfirullah, whether, sitting on the toilet on Facebook, taking a dump, talking about, we ain't got no real Muslim leaders. We ain't got no black leaders out here, right? This is what we saying while we on the toilet, right? There is no leaders because there is no followers. Half of y'all not following nobody. And the ones of y'all that are following, you're following on your own terms. When you feel like it, how you feel like it, if you feel like it. So there's no leaders because there's no followers. I could say what I'm saying so I'm blue in the face. I've said it from the member on this masjid. I taught it in class in the masjid. I taught this on Facebook Live, right? But you have people that's sitting right in Masjid Mukmin right here that will hear it and still do what they want to do. Those people ain't my followers. You're right, Farouk. That's why I used sisters as well. That's been known. One common example of sisters not being divorced from their previous husband. I mean, a lot of times we got some weird ideas and understandings about Islam. Just like with Islam, you don't, like with Salat, you don't just pray any way you want. There's certain things that have to be in place in the prayer. Yes, you can add to it, and you may be able to leave this out, but certain things need to be in place in the prayer, right? Same thing with the other pillars of Islam. Same thing with the mu'amalat. Same thing with the other acts of worship, like marriage and buying and selling. Yes, every transaction may not look the same, but there's certain rukn, there's certain pillars and shurut, conditions that need to be there for that thing to be valid. Marriage is the same way. Divorce is the same way. A lot of times a sister will be married to a brother, and for whatever reason, she's like, I'm through, I'm done with this. He won't divorce me, it's over with. No Islamic divorce just took place. Maybe the brother just left the house. Or whatever. Islamically, they're still married. It doesn't dawn on her that, well, just like there was a procedure for me to get married and certain things had to be in place, likewise, there's a procedure to get divorced and certain things need to be in place. That don't dawn on her. So I'm just through with this situation. I'm out. I'm done. Right? And then she gets online and then she tries, ain't there something, what is that, the waiting period? What is that thing? Oh, iddah. Yeah, what that? That's what I'm in right now. She declares her own iddah. And how long is it? Right? And she goes on, Wahhabi website, 1 month. I kicked him out on Thursday. My mens came on Friday. Oh, I'm about to be single again, girl. It's on. Right? And a week later, or however long her mens is over with, now her Facebook status gets changed from married to it's complicated while she's in the iddah to single, right? After her 1 month's iddah, her 1 month's waiting period, right? And now she's on the market. And then she meets some other brother on Facebook. They inbox me, and I listen to them and do what their desires. I don't do no triage. I don't ask about the marriage. I don't ask about her background. I don't ask about none of this stuff. I just married him. I just married him off, right? And then I married him, and then the husband comes to find out that the other brother's back in the picture. Whose fault? The imam fault. Why? The imam, it's always our fault. So a lot of sisters, they don't know, the fiqh of talaq. Most of the sisters don't know the difference between talaq and khula. I mean, basic things that 20 years ago, even non-scholarly, non-student people knew these things. I mean, I've been Muslim about 30 years. The things that most Muslims, I'm excluding imams, scholars, and anybody that was concerned with knowledge. I'm talking about just regular Muslims. These things that every Muslim knew back then, hardly no Muslims know now. Back in the day, everybody knew that you don't pronounce no divorce when she's on her menses. Yeah, I hate that too, Hen, because it's a misunderstanding and it's an oversimplification. The mens or the iddah differs based upon the sister's situation. And even if you look at those hadith narrations that they're using to justify a one mens iddah, if they would just keep reading past the hadith, even the narrators of the hadith, like Abu Dawood, who narrates it in the Sunnah, say we don't act upon that. Yes, it's a hadith. Yes, it happened. But the scholars say it was specific for that situation. And it was a specific situation that happened during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the scholars didn't act upon that. Then, the Wahhabi come with their, Mr. Potato Head fiqh. You know Mr. Potato Head, right? Back when I was a little kid, they had this little thing. You could put the ears on it and you can, make it little, they call it Mr. Potato Head, like in the shape of a potato head. They fiqh look like that. All the hadith is our fiqh. Even if the Sahaba didn't act on it, it was just a one-time thing. It was, okay, get this one mens iddah from over here, just donkey ears and a pig mouth and, just Mr. Potato Head fiqh, right? And so, this is, they use the hadith out of context, wrong application to justify, satisfying their nafs. The sister's a freak and she don't want to wait 3 menstrual cycles. And if her menstrual cycle is irregular, sometimes it come every other month, she definitely ain't trying to wait. So this one men's thing is good. I'm trying to get my freak on. Who next? Right? And so, this is the situation we in. And, being that the masses of people are in this situation, it makes it harder on us to protect you. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Al-imamu ra'in wa mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi." The imam is a shepherd and will be questioned or is responsible for his flock. Well, a lot of y'all flock, y'all just doing what y'all want to do. You're just doing what y'all want to do. So it's a bunch of sheep with no shepherd. The shepherd's just standing there, y'all not listening. But you want to blame the shepherd. And so, that was my, I just wanted to throw that out there and mention that because this stuff is going on. Even those, many of the people who are involved in this to various degrees, a lot of times they're not all like evil and intending to do bad. They just doing what everybody else is doing. We got to stop it. Somebody got to stop it. And stop sitting on your toilet or the couch waiting for the next person to stop it. You stop it. Make sure you don't do it. You don't condone it. I always go back to this idea. If you just think about the different common everyday examples that are normal now, go back to what Umar ibn al-Khattab said. إِنَّهُ لَا إِسْلَامَ إِلَّا بِجَمَاعَةٍ وَلَا جَمَاعَةَ إِلَّا بِإِمَارَةٍ وَلَا إِمَارَةَ إِلَّا بِطَاعَةٍ. He said that verily there is no Islam without Jamaa'ah. You see how Jamaa'ah and community, when you take it out of the picture, everything crumbles? From every single pillar of Islam to marriage to everything. You take the community, the leadership, and obedience out, everything crumbles. That's the big elephant in the room. We trying to fix all these separate issues, and we ignoring the elephant in the room. We're ignoring the obvious. Well, maybe it's not so obvious because the elephant been in the room so long, you think it's furniture. Like, man, this is a big table. Man, I never saw a table like this before. So high, we can't even use it to eat on, this big old elephant. Wow. You just think it's part of the room and been there so long. Exactly. And a lot of times, imams, you gotta watch out, man. Since most of us on social media, it'll be a sister, like I'm in Pittsburgh, right? It'll be a sister that'll contact you on Facebook, like, Imam, I need a wali. Can you be my wali? Where you from, sister? Australia. Why you want me to be your wali? I'm in North America, in Pittsburgh. Right? Sister will skip over hundreds of imams and single you out to be her wali. Why don't you go to the masjid that you can walk or drive to and ask him to be your wali? Why you want somebody to be your wali and you need a $2,000 airplane ticket to get to him? Why? That should make you like, But sometimes a lot of our egos, like, maybe she recognized I'm the only one on the truth. That's why she skipped 10 countries and hundreds or thousands of imams and asked me to be the wali, because she recognized how I get down with this hawk, and that's why she came all the way towards me. Alhamdulillah. That's all I had to say. I really want your input on this type of situation. This is one way for me to make sure with the general community, because we have a policy, but policies can be fine-tuned. And as I said before, I need to put it down in writing, so when people go to our website or our Facebook page, or they physically walk in a masjid, they can read something. This is Masjid al-Mu'min's marriage policy. Some communities, they want you to go to the state. In other words, they say, we're not doing your Islamic marriage unless you also do a state marriage. Some communities do that. We don't do that. We don't oppose you from doing it, but we don't say you have to do that. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Again, support your imams in your communities. If you're part of a community, and a brother pulls you to the side and says, hey bro, I'm trying to get married. You think you can come to my house and do the wedding? Ask yourself the question. Do the imam know about it? That's a simple question. Why would they get offended? It's marriage. Why it gotta be secret? If you part of this masjid, why wouldn't you want the imam to know about it? That's just certain basic questions. Some people say, well, I got one wife already, and I'm trying to keep this thing on the low because I don't want my wife that I'm married to now to know about it. And it'll cause a greater fitna if I tell her about it. So that's why I'm trying to keep it on the hush hush. I won't go for that stuff, man. You know, marriage can be a revolutionary act. A lot of us, we're talking about fighting against oppression now. So y'all are lucky. If you don't want to watch Islamic multimedia, y'all got a lot of options. Y'all have a lot of options. When I took Shahada, it was only 3 things you can watch. The Message, Lion of the Desert, and the Battle of Algiers. When I took Shahada, those are the only 3 quote-unquote Islamic movies that was out there. And some of y'all may be new. Y'all might not even heard of that stuff. Well, check it out. The Message, starring Anthony Quinn. Lion of the Desert, also starring Anthony Quinn. Good movies. I'm talking about the days when it was on VHS and it was 2 tapes, right? And the movie The Battle of Algiers, it talked about how the Algerians were fighting against French occupation. And one scene that I always remember in that movie is a couple was getting married. And they were getting married according to Islamic law. They wasn't getting married according to the French's policy. And they depicted that in a movie because that in and of itself was a revolutionary act. See, when you're being occupied by, alien forces trying to take away or belittle your deen, sometimes acting ratchet or being sinful, it furthers your oppression. You don't see it because you're just trying to fulfill your nafs. You're just trying to have sex. You don't realize how your lewd behavior, how your un-Islamic behavior is furthering people's oppression. Your vision ain't that long. You just think, I'm just trying to get married, just trying to do me. You don't recognize how your actions are undermining the Muslim community in particular and Islam in general. You don't see that. Likewise, marriage itself and adhering to not only the letter of the law, but the principles and the goals and objectives of a healthy Islamic marriage, a lot of times you don't recognize how revolutionary that is. A stable Islamic household for a child. Being raised by Islamic principles. You don't realize how all of this sorry excuse for marriage that we're practicing now, we don't think about how we're depriving our children from that healthy Islamic environment. And what will come from that? We just don't get it. Like one example, I remember one of the sheikhs, Sheikh Mad, somebody was asking him about what was the question? If a Muslim man commits zina, fornicates with a non-Muslim girl, or even a Muslim girl, does that Muslim man have to support his child? Because they coined, we some sick people. We'll coin the most crazy things. We coin a portion of the hadith. No, that's a child of the bed. You ain't got to take care of that. You see how people are using Islam to justify ratchet behavior, sinful behavior, and getting away from taking care of the responsibility. So I'm assuming the person that asked the question was looking for like a fiqh type answer. And the sheikh didn't even come that way. He said, take care of the child. Wait a minute. That person got something else to worry about. This is the Islam that y'all teaching these people. You know, you have a child out of wedlock. That's bad enough. And then on top of that, you looking for an Islamic excuse not to take care of your children that you had out of wedlock. What do you think that woman, that child, that woman's family is going to think about Muslims and Islam? You like giving anti-dawah. Muslim men don't take care of their children because he wasn't married according to Islamic law. Right? So a lot of times we so short-sighted that we don't even think about the repercussions of our actions. We trying to find some fake loophole so we ain't got to, take care of our quote-unquote responsibility, and don't realize that we are contributing to this toxic, anti-Islamic, anti-male environment that's going on because we just thinking about ourselves and our private parts. But subhanAllah, I've been on here longer than I intended on being on here. Alhamdulillah, I thank you all for listening. But that's something I think we should all ponder on and act accordingly. It's not just about us. And when communities, when masjids, when masajid have policy in place, it's for a reason. Trust me, no one in their right mind is trying to prevent two people from coming together. We want people to be married. We want stable families. We want communities to come together, families to come together, because of the most solid communities, I don't care where it is on earth, the backbone of those communities are solid families. You don't have stable communities without stable families. They just don't exist. You may not see it because maybe you don't know the background or who's who, but if you find a progressive, stable community, is families behind that, not just a whole bunch of individuals. It's families. And the key to a stable family is who we choose to marry. So trust me, imams, masjids, they're not trying to block people from getting married. They're just trying their best to put a limit on the type of nonsense that comes in, that's going to end up hurting the community in the long run. Imam, can you speak about the sushi Muslims that participate in muta? Sushi? Maybe you mean Shia. Temporary marriage. We know that temporary marriage was allowed during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It was prohibited, then allowed again, and then finally it was prohibited. So, we don't practice that. We don't even acknowledge that. But then, just like, with a lot of stuff, you got, especially on an international level, you got a lot of societies that practice, they found a lot of loopholes, for lack of better words. You got this thing called summer marriages, where, wealthy Arabian people will go to poor countries like, Indonesia, different African countries, and, pay the father or pay the village head a whole bunch of money, and then I'm just gonna call it what it is, run up in some little girl from the village for the summer, and then, then go back to his Gulf country or wherever country he's from, and just completely forget about her. And this is well known. This is not like no secret stuff. It goes on. And, it'd be a whole bunch. There's even YouTube videos about it. You can go on YouTube right now and check videos where, there's a whole bunch of African and Indonesian and Malaysian women that's been abandoned by these rich Arab people who was participating in these temporary summer marriages type things. They got children, and they can't get married no more because they're looked at as hoes in their society and stuff like that. It's terrible. So, this stuff that we got going on here locally, in the United States on a local or national level, it's on an international level as well. People always leeching off of the poor and disenfranchised. And a lot of times we sell out because we want some money, some crumbs from the table. A father will sell out his own daughter for some money. That's foul. The sex trade is active in Africa. They're talking about human trafficking, the sex trade, pedophilia, active. Active. And when you go out there and you see it as an American and you say something about it, some of them will get on you for saying something about it. Because you're messing up their money. And that's one thing that I find anytime, I don't care what it is or how local or how, low level it is. Anything that you find local or low level going on, there's an equivalent thing happening on a national and an international level. Don't be fooled. They just give it a fancy name, but it's the same stuff you see happening in the hood. All right, so I don't know how long I've been talking, but I'm out of here. May Allah bless all of you all. And I hope this was beneficial. I hope it makes us think and reflect on how we look at and deal with marriage. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت واستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.